Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Minnesota State Representative Morrie Lanning from Moorhead, co-chair of the Ladder Out of Poverty Legislative Task Force that has been meeting. Thank you for your interest and work in addressing this important issue of eliminating poverty in our state. I was privileged to serve on the Legislative Commission to End Poverty by 2020 that was first approved by the legislature and signed into law by the governor in 2006. We spent a couple of years traveling the state, studying this issue, talking to people who are living in poverty and all kinds of folks who are concerned about trying to do something about poverty in Minnesota. And our commission, co-chaired by Senator John Marty and Representative Carlos Mariani, spent a long time coming up with a series of recommendations, and in 2009 our commission report was released. And that commission report was full of recommendations on what Minnesota can and should do to address the issue of poverty. Then in the 2010 legislative session, Senator Michael Junbauer and I authored a piece of legislation called Ladders Out of Poverty, and that was passed by both bodies and signed into law by the governor. And what the legislation called for is the formation of a legislative task force that would pick up on some of the recommendations that came out of the commission report and further advance those recommendations as we move forward in addressing this issue in Minnesota. There were three recommendations in particular that were picked up by this new legislation, and that is to have the legislature look at ways in which we can strengthen community support to work with and help people who are struggling with poverty, to help them work their way out of poverty, provide the kind of support and mentorship that they need. And secondly, to address the issue of financial literacy. Our commission felt that there was a lacking when it comes to good financial literacy in our population, and unless we can improve that literacy, it's going to be much more difficult to help people work their way out of poverty. And the third main recommendation of the legislation that the Ladders Task Force is addressing is the whole process of helping people to build assets, financial assets, in order to have what it takes to provide support going forward. This work is very important work in the state of Minnesota. We need to do more to help people work their way out of poverty, and we are pleased as a task force to be about that task. In the next several months, we're going to be further gathering recommendations and fulfilling our charge as a task force, and ultimately we will have a report to the legislature by June of 2012. But I'm hoping that there will be legislation that we will present and have acted upon in the 2011 session. Well, thank you very much for your attendance here tonight, and thanks to all who have worked on this Minnesota Without Poverty initiative. And particularly, we want to thank the community action agencies from around the state. They've been at the forefront in addressing these poverty issues for a long time, and we thank them for their efforts, and thank all of you again for being a part of this tonight. We look forward to hearing from you, and we look forward to a final report coming from our task force and lots of action. Thank you.